Nice to be able to think for myself again. It's really awesome when there is somebody off camera telling you exactly what to do and what to say in your video so you come off sounding like a robot. When I'm looking upwards by choice. In the previous video, I was looking upwards because I was being forced to say what I had to say. That being said, I'm free, clear, and ready to talk Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood because they just had their official reveal. The website went live, and I'm now able to talk about the original Scarezones that are going to be a part of the event this year, as well as my thoughts on the lineup in general, my thoughts on what I think is my most anticipated maze and Scarezones of the year, and all points in between. So sit back, relax, and let's talk Halloween Horror Nights, shall we? So we're going to start off with the Scarezones, and the Scarezones are very similar, yet different at the same time. You basically have two returning Scarezones, one being in a different format, and the other being pretty much completely the same. So much so that the description that John Murdy gave on Twitter was pretty much saying, yeah, it's back. So there's that. And you have two brand new zones, one of which being tying into our opening ceremony this year, and the other being a zone that you probably remember somewhat from last year's Choose Your Scare competition that John held on Facebook to determine what scare zone would end up at Halloween Horror Nights 2014, and that was won by Masquerade, and there were two other that were in competition, one being the one that got chosen for this year, and the other, well, I got a really good chance you're gonna see ghouls, probably with a Z, because we have to do an American Dream style Scarezones with a Z. And I look for that next year, I would say. It's basically grave robbers, and they're cannibal grave robbers is what it sounds like from the description, and that sounds pretty awesome. So look for ghouls in 2016. So that's just my personal speculation. I'm guessing that's the case. I didn't think I'd see Corpse, which was not spelled with a Z. It was not American Dream style last year. It was just Corpse by itself. C-O-R-P-S, not Z, so they decided to change it. We got two Scarezones with a Z this year. So let's talk about the Scarezone, shall we? Locations is what it's always about. And we're going to talk about your opening ceremony leading to your entrance Scarezone. It's going to be themed towards the Exterminators with a Z. That's why I put that on the end of it. And basically what they are, this is where the Purge was last year. They are basically hybrid creatures and humans. They're pests, pretty much. So the story reads that dangerous chemicals have been recklessly dumped down the drains by irresponsible humans, you know, like you do. And now these pests arise from their cesspools, turn the tables, and retaliate on their human oppressors. They're called the Exterminators. Their goal is to exterminate the humans in the city. That's where the chainsaws are going to be this year. A lot of people are thinking the chainsaws would not return. Chainsaws will return. They will actually be in the front, held by hybrid sewer rats and humans. Hybrid sewer rats. Basically half sewer rat and half human. And if you've ever been to New York, you ever been down and saw how big a sewer rat can be, especially ones from Harlem, yeah, they get pretty ginormous. So it's probably going to be pretty lifelike and pretty actual to their real size, being human size. There's going to be some stilt walkers here. One is going to be the head of the Exterminators, which is a hybrid rat, and the other which is a ginormous hybrid cockroach. You're going to see spiders and moles, all sorts of really weird things, and that's going to tie in your opening ceremony, which sounds really awesome, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how that's going to come off. Now, as we progress, we move over to Baker Street. And Baker Street basically has the same location as last year, and that is the return of Dark Christmas. This time around, though, Dark Christmas will have the Krampus pushed inside, because obviously we're promoting the Michael Daughtry Krampus film. Tying in the reason that there probably wasn't a Dark Christmas house this year. There wasn't a maze for Dark Christmas because Murdy was like, you know, we've already got the Krampus movie coming out. There's going to be promotion. People might get confused. So might as well just say nix it this year and maybe bring Dark Christmas as a maze finally in 2016. That's my personal speculation. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just guessing. So yeah, it's going to return to the same location, which means you're going to have the creepy Christmas and the kids, of course, list all the, like, the creepy, like, old-timey music. You're going to have, like, the creepy elves, and it's going to be right next to Super Silly Funland, which is glorious in every way possible. Sounds really awesome, really, and I'm looking forward to it. Murdy basically said he passed on it because he didn't see any footage, so Michael Daughtry did not give any footage of Krampus, so take that as you will. Maybe we won't be seeing, but I'm pretty sure we will. I think next year his property comes back with a vengeance, but we'll talk about that in our speculation video, which I'm going to do in November for 2016. On top of that, we move over to French Street, and French Street is the location of Corpse. Corpse with a Z. And basically, Corpse, in essence, it's tying into Murdy's love of World War I. And there's going to be an army of decaying war soldiers. They're called the Lost Generation. They've risen from their dank, muddy graves to haunt the streets of old Paris. Now, Murdy is like a big mark for World War I, so he always wanted to do this. There's going to be a war-torn town stuck in the middle during World War I. French and German soldiers, you're going to hear battle sounds. There's going to be that creepy old-timey music, and of course you're going to see the mustard gas. It sounds really great, and it should be interesting, but I mean, I'm not a history buff, so obviously it kind of, spoiler alert, goes a little lower on my anticipation list for that reason. Now, I had to save the best for last, and just like with Orlando last year, it's all about the Purge. And this time, the Purge is going to be in the back lot. It's going to be called the Purge Urban Nightmare. Sounds really awesome, and it plays a lot on the films, a lot more than the Terror Tram, which we already talked about that. Well, you reach that scare zone and the mazes in the back lot, which is Crimson Peak and Alien vs. Predator, via a tram. You don't have to walk this year because, like Murdy says, people in LA, they don't like to walk. As a matter of fact, they'd rather just take their car to get the mail, and their mail could be just literally right outside their house. That's just how it works sometimes. There's going to be purging in the city streets. It's going to be amazing. And you're going to see a car break down, and people are going to get jumped, and they're going to kind of be like the Warriors movie. I think that would be awesome. There's going to be masked, painted face. Big Daddy's going to be there with a gun, and the paramilitary. It's going to be chaos and craziness, and it's going to be all kinds of awesome. Very much looking forward to this. So, yeah, that's what we've had for our scare zones. Those are our original properties. So, right now, I'm going to say that my anticipation level, being that, unfortunately, unless a miracle happens, and I would win that Fandango Crimson Peak contest, which I'm going to put a link in the description bar for that contest. If I don't win that contest, there's no way I'm going to see Hollywood this year. But, based upon the fact that I'm going to be watching videos, I'm looking at you, Sharp, and Eyes Open, No Crybabies, for coming up with those videos, what I would anticipate if I was able to attend the event. My number 4 is Corpse. Why? Because Corpse is, it's like I said, it's the history thing. It's like with Roanoke Cannibal Colony in Orlando last year. It's like, I wasn't really excited because it was like, not something I'm really down with. But it's, like I said, it's not a bad idea, but it's not necessarily my idea. Number 4 is Exterminators. I'm really curious to see how that's going to work out. It's interesting to see hybrid sewer rat humans with chainsaws. That should be pretty cool. And I'm really curious to see like the big cockroach on stilts. I think that's going to be pretty awesome. Looking forward to seeing how that's going to be executed. Number 2 is Dark Christmas. Why? Because Dark Christmas is something I really want to see in person. And if we get it enough, it'll come to Orlando, and then I will get to see it in person. So yeah, that's because I'm an Orlando guy, so obviously I attend the event in Orlando. Can't go to Hollywood because of funds. Maybe eventually I'll be able to. We're looking at 2020 as of this moment. And if that's able to happen, I definitely want to see Dark Christmas. And it would be number 1, like I said last year, if not for the Purge Urban Nightmare. Probably a lot of chaos, a lot of anarchy, literally, based upon how much I loved our scare zone from last year in Orlando. And I enjoyed the Hollywood version. I thought ours was better, but I mean, that's just how it is. I think that the backlot gives you a lot more flexibility, and I think that there's a lot more interesting things you can do with that secluded area. And you could even tie in the Terror Tram if they really wanted to, because they're both the Purge. So, all sorts of chaos, craziness. It should be really awesome. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to see the videos. So, like I said, the website came out, and that was pretty much the announcement. It's very bland. It's pretty much the same site from last year. Like, the font, like the Halloween Horror Nights font, so stoic and everything. It looks boring. It really does. I mean, there's nothing that pops. Like, our site, I mean, say what you want about Orlando, but our site pops. I like that purple and black consistency. I think that works really well. But I don't really like how boring Hollywood site is. I mean, I'd go to Hollywood site and I'd fall asleep on camera, and I don't want to do that on a video, so there. I guess you could just say that they were just kind of there. I mean, it kind of looks, it looks bland. It's the best way to put it. I mean, I hate to say anything more about it, but it looks bland. But I did find out that there is a big question that has finally been answered, and that is what rides are going to be open. I know it's not a big question based on the rides, because obviously it's going to be the same rides as normal, which is Transformers, Revenge of the Mummy, Jurassic Park, which of course will be in the dark, The Simpsons, and Despicable Me. Supercharged isn't on air. That was a big topic of conversation among updaters, and we talked about it on podcasts, talked about it on Popcasts, and in videos, my videos and the videos of everyone else that updates, and no, it's not going to run. Supercharged is not going to run because there's not going to be enough trams to go around, because you're going to have to get trams to get people to the back lot. Then you're going to have the Terror Tram. So all the trams in the fleet are going to be taken up, so that's the reason why they're not going to be able to run Supercharged. Just like I said in a podcast, several podcasts actually, if you want to see Supercharged, come during the day. It's the same thing I could say about Harry Potter and when it opens in Hollywood, when the Wizarding World opens in Hollywood, and the same thing I usually would have said for Diagon Alley in Orlando, but I got a good feeling, a really good feeling, a feeling I know that Diagon will open this year. Yeah, I don't know why I went that way. Shout out. Rest in peace, Mr. Rogers. So, I don't know why I went that direction. Diagon may be open for Orlando's event this year, but that's purely speculation. We don't know anything until the official reveal, and I'm looking at that sometime next week. So, we've got that. And Springfield is going to be a safe zone, just like it is in Orlando. You're probably not going to see any characters even walk through that area, and justifiably so after what happened in Orlando last year. But that's another story altogether for another different time. There's no Scarezone in the lower lot, and that's because of construction and the 3 mazes that are going to be down there. And the big thing that everybody is peeved about is the fact there's going to be no VIP experience. The best way that you can do anything, like you want to spend the most money in Hollywood, you're going to have to go front of the line. And there's no VIP experience, so it's interesting they decided not to do it this year, but I kind of somewhat can understand. Maybe they're going to retool it a bit and bring it back next year. It just depends. So yeah, you want to get front of the line. That's going to be the best way to attend the event with all the capabilities. So there's actually going to be a link in the description bar for the tickets. If you want to buy your tickets, you can buy them right now. I have a link right there, and if you can get that frequent fear pass before it sells out completely, there's a link there as well. There's annual pass holder discounts. And that frequent fear pass, it's not just 10 this year, it's actually 12 days. They actually kind of flub them like, okay, fine, we'll give you an extra 2 days. So it's kind of like our Rush of Fear, add 2 days, or kind of like our frequent fear, but subtract a couple days. That's the best way to describe it, honestly. So that's what we've got. Let's talk about my opinion of the event. So you got 6 mazes this year. You finally brought it up to 7 last year, and then you had to drop it down due to construction. 2012 in me feels your pain, 100%, because we had to deal with that too, with all the Diagon Alley construction that we had in Orlando. But the thing about it is you have to look at it from this perspective. You have 6 mazes. You have 4 scare zones, you have a Terror Tram, and you also have a brand new show. The Jabberwockies may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I can assure you that they're going to help with crowds. And I will say right now, it's not going to be as bad when there's people in the Jabberwockies show, because like if you pack the theater, and then if you pack the theater for Jabberwockies, those people are not going to be in mazes. Those people are not going to be on rides, those people are not going to be in scare zones, so that's going to give other people an opportunity to do just that. And I want to talk about what I think of the event. It's very similar to last year. There's a lot of favorites returning, and Hollywood's been somewhat known for that in the past. I mean, we've got Halloween, which, of course, they haven't had since 2009. We had a very successful Halloween house last year in Orlando, and it seems like this one's going to be a lot more like that one. Even though 2009 was a lot more like this one, too. But apparently, this one's going to be a lot different from Orlando's, because this one's going to play on the paranormal aspect of Michael Myers, and using the Pepper's Ghost effect. And I'm just really curious, like the decaying Myers house. Really curious to see how that comes off, actually, when I see it, the video of it. The Return of Insidious, one of the most successful mazes in the history of Hollywood's event. And, of course, this is going to add Chapter 3 to it, so you're going to get 1, 2, and 3, kind of like what we're doing in Orlando. Same back to the Lambert house, it's the facade in Jurassic Park. The Return of Alien vs. Predator, which apparently is going to be completely identical from last year's maze, but there's going to be a couple tweaks here and there, so I'm curious to see exactly what those tweaks are. So yeah, they're not the only coast that's doing something with the little tweaks this year. We'll talk about that when I do my Orlando reveal, probably sometime next week. Crimson Peak is a big one. That's the one. Getting John Murdy to work with Guillermo del Toro is a big deal, and del Toro definitely wants everything absolutely perfect. I mean, he's on his, like, crazy as James Cameron is, but I mean, he's going to make sure that it fits the subject matter and everything looks perfect. So I think Crimson Peak is going to look amazing. I think it's going to be amazing. And I think it's got a really good chance to be one of the best mazes this year without any doubt. Now, The Walking Dead returning for the 4th year, just like us, you're getting the mega maze we had last year, Wolves Not Far. I just don't like that name, but the thing, it's kind of goofy. But it's not in a soundstage. Obviously, Hollywood does a lot with their tents, and not the sprung tents, it's just a tent. And that tent looks huge, and I'm really curious to see how that comes off. Like I said, I don't watch The Walking Dead, never have watched The Walking Dead, guarantee you I never will watch The Walking Dead. But I'm very curious to see how Hollywood pulls off the biggest maze in the history of the event, and I'm really curious to see now that when I talk about Orlando, the biggest maze in the history of the event is going to end up not being The Walking Dead, but something else that's going to come this year. But we'll talk about that next week. And the big one, the big X factor is this is the end. Being that it's in 3D, you're welcome for calling that first. I will say right now that I think it's going to work. I really do. I think it's not going to be for everyone. I think that people will either like it or dislike it. There will not be an in-between. You will not tolerate this maze. You will either like it or you will hate it. There is no other way it's going to go. And I'm really curious to see exactly how they pull it off. And I think it'd be really awesome if they had the Backstreet Boys in the finale, because that's how the movie ends, so it makes perfect sense, right? And like I said, a soundtrack that involves Psy, MIA, and the Backstreet Boys, sign me up. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this is the end's going to come off. Should be interesting. Should be a different way to see 3D that we haven't seen in many years in Hollywood. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, as a number of what I'm looking at right now, I do want to do my list. My list is going to be all 6 mazes plus the Terror Tram. So I'm going to say on my most anticipated list, my number 7 is going to be Alien vs. Predator. I've seen it before. I thought they did very well with it. Some ways Orlando did it better. They got the Queen. That pretty much ends most of the conversation right there. So, I mean, I've seen it before. There's really not much of a reason to see it again. I know I'm contradicting myself for something I'm going to say in Orlando's video, but still, that's how I see things. Number 6 is The Walking Dead. Wolves Not Far. The reason why is because The Walking Dead, like I said, it's been done before, so I am curious to see what they do with the longest maze ever, but like I said, I'm holding out hope, but you never know. I mean, a lot of people are tired of The Walking Dead, but in Hollywood, it really seems like people aren't as tired of The Walking Dead as they are in Orlando. I don't know why. Maybe it's like a coastal thing. I don't know. With Fear the Walking Dead coming out around that time, I really would think that there's a good reason to have people hyped up about The Walking Dead again, but then again, it seems like it's the same property, but it's different locations, different people, different casts, so, I mean, it's not exactly the same thing. My number 5 is Insidious, Return of the Further. Real quick, I really think that it looks awesome. I saw the video walkthrough, and looks great. Can't wait to see it in Orlando. But like I said, I really think that using JP versus using a sprung tent, I think that the sprung tent's going to be a lot scarier and definitely a lot darker. So it would be a little bit higher on my list in Orlando, but it's a little bit lower on my list because of that. My number 4 is the Terror Tram. Obviously, the Terror Tram survived the Purge, would basically be kind of like what I like to call a let's ride to a massive scare zone, but you actually get to walk around. It's basically walk around the back lot. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at for there. But I think that being around that chaotic element in the Purge, I think it's going to work really well. Both the scare zone and the backlot tour, I think it's a great combination. And I think the scare zone could possibly be a tie-in with the Terror Tram. Not necessarily from now on. Maybe they're picking up where Walking Dead left off. I mean, there's a lot of people who have said that in podcasts. A lot of people have said that on my podcast. A lot of people said that in podcasts I've been a part of. So I can't require exactly who it is at the time, but I know that that's been said. So I definitely want to bring that up slightly before I move forward. It's been said before, and I'm going to agree with them 100% that I think the Purge is going to have a nice 1-2 punch going forward, because the Purge doesn't really have to have a location. You can do the Purge anywhere. And that's the reason why it's going to work really well, especially for the Terror Tram. That's the reason I've called that since 2013, and they never went with it. My number 3 is This Is the End. I really want to see this. I really want to see how it's going to work out. I might actually wear the 3D glasses if I go to Hollywood. Who knows? Probably not. But still, I'm really curious to see how they pull that off. It's basically sink or swim for Murdy this year, and I really think that this could be knock it out of the park, or this could be like the biggest blunder in the history of Hollywood. I mean, this could literally cost Murdy his job. You never know. I don't think it's going to get that extreme, but I mean, still, it's definitely taking a really big gamble. That's what Murdy's doing this year. And I guess this event is literally about taking a big gamble, because bringing a lot of things back and putting all your stock into a movie, even though it's Del Toro, putting your stock into a movie that has not been seen yet, it's a gamble, but you never know. I mean, we'll see what happens. My number 2 is the aforementioned Crimson Peak Maze of Madness, and I'm very, very excited about seeing how that's going to go off. If I had to pick one that I was really, really wanted to see this year, I know it's not number 1. There's a reason why it's not number 1, but still, it's something I'm really looking forward to. Can't wait to see the videos. Can't wait to see how they pull it off. That blood snow, totally going to be awesome to see in person. I think it's going to be great. Going to be a lot of paranormal in the house. I think it's going to be something that everybody's going to take to. And paranormal's done pretty well in Hollywood, so let's see how it works out. My number 1, without any question, without any doubt, is Halloween. Michael Myers Comes Home. Why? Because Halloween was so amazing last year in Orlando. And I know it's not the same coast, and I know it's not the same A&D team, I know it's not the same design team, but I do have complete faith in John Murdy to be able to pull off something spectacular with the Halloween brand, and I know that it would be amazing to actually see in person. And given the fact that the Parisian Courtyard is so small, I think that the claustrophobic nature of Halloween will actually work really well in that venue. So that's what we've got so far. So yeah, if you were playing along, my anticipation for Scarezones being The Purge, Dark Christmas, Exterminators, and Corpse. My anticipation for the mazes, Halloween, Crimson Peak, This Is the End, The Terror Tram, Insidious, The Walking Dead, and Alien vs. Predator. So that's what we've got for this week. That's going to end another edition of your video, and I will be doing a Halloween Horror Nights podcast very soon. I will be doing a Coast to Coast podcast very soon, which is going to be talking about the reveals of both Hollywood and Orlando. Why? Because due to scheduling issues, I have not been able to do a podcast since the last one I did. So I'm going to make up for it. We're going to talk about Hollywood and Orlando in the same podcast. It's going to be a mega event. It's going to have a bunch of really awesome people on it, so stay tuned to that. And like I said, buy your tickets if you haven't yet. Go to HalloweenHorrorNights.com/Hollywood/2015/tickets.php. PHP. So like Prime Hit Points, basically. And you can check out your tickets for Hollywood. And if you want to follow Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood on Snapchat, you're more than welcome to. It's just Horror Nights. One word, Horror Nights. And you can follow them on Twitter at Horror Nights. And if you want to enter that Crimson Peak contest I talked about, go to fandango.com/sweepstakes/Crimson Peak. You can enter anytime between 10 a.m. and that specific time, that's on the West Coast, September 8th. So you have until 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. on September 8th, depending on which coast you're on. So you can check that out. While you're on Twitter, you can go ahead and follow me on Twitter. It's at Sir Owen Disney. If you want to venture over to Facebook, go ahead and take a leap over there, and you can check out our Facebook fan page. It's under Sir Owen Disney Pop, or you can search for Sir Owen Disney and Pop. It's a great way to find it that way. You can also check us out. Pop is on MoviePilot.com. Check us out, MoviePilot.com/Sir Owen Disney. And we have a brand new mobile app for iTunes. Search Sir Owen Disney and get all the content from Pop on your iPod, iPhone, iPad, any sort of iDevice. Don't have it for Android. Maybe eventually, who knows? We'll see what happens. See how popular it gets. While you're at it, you can check out some great Halloween Horror Nights forums at Horror Night Nightmares and USH Forums. Check out some great Halloween Horror Night related content on both coasts, HHNCrypt.com and HorrorBuzz.com, SoCalHorrorFans.com, DesigningFear.com, and NeoZaz.com, and the Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights podcast. You have that available on NeoZaz as well. Check out some really great Halloween Horror Nights updaters on both coasts. A lot of great friends of mine, the Horror Nights Updaters, their collective channels, my friend John, Psychomassacre Films, my friend Vic, Dr. Emmett Brown 1, my friend Neil, UK HHN, my friend Aaron, the Red Steel TV, and my friend David, the Crazy Englishman. You can also check out my good friend Tristan at HHN Fan 16, as well as my friend James at HHN Updated 1. Check out Thrill Seeker Network, First Class Horror, HHN Phantom, HHN Fanboy, Alex Show Official, and Horror Nights Fan 13. So that being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.